Moving to a different country becomes this form of forced minimalism. There's only so much you can take with you because if not, you're gonna have to pay a lot of money. And sometimes when you're immigrating, you're basically going the way they say in Colombia, con una mano adelante y otra atrás, with one hand in front of you and the other one behind you. And it's just a form of saying you really leave with almost close to nothing, especially if you spend there decades of your life collecting things. When I moved with 2 rollerboards, and for some reason, I don't know why, I didn't want to bring anything other than my books. And by that time I had a really big collection. So I ended up packing 2 giant boxes full of books, things that I barely used. They were more like reference books. I was studying engineering. I packed in there books about inferential statistics. I packed in there books about differential equations, things that I never use. 2 years after I moved to the States, I actually drove by a library and just dropped all those boxes because I had no use for them anymore. So then maybe some people stay that way. I stay that way. I kind of have this forced minimalism. I don't have a lot of things that I own. And obviously that has changed because I've been living here now more than 20 years. And I have a family, I have a wife, we have parties, so we have collectively more things. But I am very mindful of receiving heirlooms or things that want to be handed down from my family. My family knows this, and my mom is definitely very intentional about the things that she gives me that come from the family. And this is one of those things, this little old man. When I was growing up, my family was really into lladro, ceramic things. Like they're supposed to be really nice, and I heard that word a lot, lladro, is it a lladro? Now this is not a lladro. And as a matter of fact, I don't even know where it was made. I was under the impression that it was made in El Salvador. But it was my grandmother's, and she really loved it. And for some reason, I really thought that it kind of represented an old man from El Salvador. That's what I made it to be. She was Salvadorian. She met with my grandfather in New York, then moved to Colombia. And this was one of her things. And it actually came with a similar old woman. Now, this is just part of my family's history, but this is another part of the story that I really love. When my grandfather remarried, my aunts saw that the woman went missing, and they immediately said that my step grandmother threw it out because it represented my grandma, which I thought it was really funny. Maybe, who knows? I don't know if that's what actually happened, but I love everything that comes with this heirloom. It's like a family heirloom. Maybe one day I'll tell this story to my girls. Maybe they'll be interested in keeping it, maybe not. But I remember that I was reading a book called Let It Go, and it's not about Frozen or Elsa. It's a book about this professional organizer that it's on HGTV. I don't know much about him. I think he's from South Africa. But the book was really interesting because he was talking about organizing your parents' state when they pass, or preparing for your own passing. And one of the things he talked about was the hoarding of artifacts. Now, not only for just plain hoarding, but when people passed, they ended up having a lot of artifacts that meant something to them. There was an emotional attachment to it. But it was only one part of the equation. It meant something to them, but they never really communicated what that was. So they ended up having all these things, all these trinkets, all these all these objects. And because they never took the time to tell the stories of what those objects, what those artifacts meant to them, when it came time for their kids to look through it, it was just junk. Now, to me, it is a little sad. It's also a little illuminating. What we really want to transfer is not so much objects as it is the stories that come with those objects. There's only so much space anybody can have in a house. And if you're giving it to your kids or you actually inherit it from your parents, there's no way you can actually take an entire house of objects and bring it into your house. But with a little discerning of what has value and what has emotional value, you can actually make those decisions. If this is something that interests you, like putting together stories about the things that are around your house, putting together stories about your life, I just opened an online course, opened the registration. We will be starting soon. And I want to be able to help you and share with you some ideas that I've developed in the past as a competitive storyteller, as an essayist, and I want to help you in this journey, the journey to put together stories about everything you have in your home, or the things that you want to leave to your kids, or even asking your parents the story behind some of the things that you see them keeping around. This is your history, the history of your family, and it is just as important as everything else you learn. So I hope that you join me. And if you have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to reach out.